Liverpool Fan in Japan.
Hello YouTube, Liverpool Fan in Japan here, the Miyazaki man, Sai. Thanks to the success of the first Football Tactics 101 for Beginners video and the great feedback received, I have decided to make Football Tactics 101 intermediate version with advanced concepts. So here we go. Now I'm going to give you experiences from my perspective as player coach for Lucha FC in J-League non-league, because I coach the team as well as run the training, run the scouting and the administration as well. And occasionally I sub myself on for the last 10-15 minutes to see the game out, because winning is what I do. And before we get into the technical detail and go onto the tactics board, I do want to say for all those who are very interested in the tactical side of football, to go out and see real matches in person. It's a different point of view, it's a different perspective, because then you can see real player behaviours, right? One of the biggest issues, I think, in terms of modern comprehension and understanding of football tactics is the fact that everyone sees it through the TV, everyone sees it through YouTube, everyone sees it through the media and even highlight clips and reels as well. But you don't really know the behaviors of players under certain situations. When they miss a shot, what is their body language? What is their first instinct? What is their expression? What are they looking to do? What do teammates do to encourage fellow players, to support fellow players, to G them up after making a mistake, after a big crucial intervention, after big clearance from a corner? What are players' behaviors and those around them, their colleagues, the teammates? You set a team up for success. Everyone's got to play their part. I want to ingrain this concept into your mind first and foremost. It is about function and not formation. Formation is just a basis of a shape to achieve a certain function, a certain tactical ploy. Formation cannot be maintained throughout the duration of the match for the reasoning you're against opposition, you're against real life people. They will pull you apart, they will pull you to different places, and unless you play zonal marking 100% of the time, which is an impossibility, you can never stay in formation anyway. So formation is only a means to an end. There's a concept behind it and it's a starting position. Similarly, you've got to adapt on the fly to the opposition's tactics, their changes, what they're trying to do, what the opposition, what individual players are trying to do. You've got to analyse on the pitch, and this is why Jurgen, Klopp, Arne Slot, Pep Guardiola, Antonio Conte, they're paid the big bucks to make those changes during the match and prepare for all eventualities as well. So let's get into it. But just before we do, watching a football match in person as well, fresh air, isn't it? And you can see more of the pitch as well, you know, and not just what the camera shows you. So I'm going to start off by going through my team, Lucha FC, and why I start with a 4-4-2 diamond. Now, it's not the most popular formation these days, but there's real benefit to this system for my particular players. Now, one thing that people make a mistake on when talking about football tactics is the fact that they're so ingrained in the previous coach's system, right? Xabi Alonso playing free at the back, for example, Ruben Amorim playing free at the back. Any coach or manager worth their salt is tactically flexible. They'll understand all different formations, permutations. We're going to talk about transitions in this video as well, in terms of defensive transition, offensive transition, creating the overloads and game-winning scenarios as promised from the last video as well. And I always go back to the fact that Xabi Alonso in the Real Madrid youths played 4-3-3. But with the Real Sociedad backup teams, he played 4-2-3-1. And then now going to Leverkusen, he plays an inverted 3-5-2 in the fact that Grimaldo and Frimpong are absolutely stunning players, and you have to take advantage of these mercurial talents. And I will talk about that in my Lucha FC setup as well, because we have very unique characters. My goodness, one of my star men named Kohei, right? And I'm going to name drop him right now. We have a very love-hate relationship. Now, he is a playmaker of the highest caliber. Can play 6, 8, 10, free kick maestro. He scores 50% of his free kicks, top bins, technical player of the highest magnitude, and I bench him half of the time. What? And we will go into player management and the tactical reasons why I bench him as well. And the fact is that he's so hot-headed and a little bit immature that because he couldn't get his way last season, he actually transferred to a rival club. And when we played them, I stayed up for some late training sessions with my team to drill into them what exactly to do to smash these lads, and we bashed them 7-0. Does that ring a bell? And even funnier yet, he came crawling back because the opposition team weren't set up to make the most of his God-given talents. And when he came crawling back, he's back on reduced terms. Oh dear. Anzai sensei. Wobble, wobble, wobble. But yes, forgive and forget. So anyway, as I was saying, I hope that every one of you can get some benefit from this tactics video. Some concepts you may know already, some examples you may understand, you may not understand, in which case you might want to revisit the Football 101 Beginner's Guide video. I'll link it at the end of this video as well. It's worth a watch anyway. Everyone can always be reminded of the basics because it's easy to forget, right? And we get so absorbed and passionate about football that when you're watching a match, sometimes you lose sight of those key intricate details, especially the off-the-ball performances of certain players, which is why they get their team spot week in, week out. We're talking about Andy Robertson, we're talking about Gini Wijnaldum, until the latter part when people realise how an essential piece of the midfield Gini Wijnaldum was. And speaking of football understanding as well, some prominent YouTubers who have a big subscriber and fan base have actually worked their way into media positions on ESPN, TalkSport, BBC and Sky Sports. And when they give their tactical acumen and their views and their opinions as well, sometimes you shudder in disbelief, just wondering, did they really say that? Did they understand what they're saying? Some are proper cringy, some opinions are totally valid as well. Some live up to the hype and perform their persona and character in front of the audience as well. Sometimes you be controversial just to get the interaction going, and I completely understand the game as well. But really, isn't it so interesting that a lot of these media platforms now go about getting these content creators who haven't actually played the game? And I know Mark Goldbridge says, I've played the game, and it actually is valid to some extent. So listening to a Mario Melchior, a Clarence Seedorf, obviously the Dutch connection there, they actually have insight into the training, into the tactics, working under world-class coaches as well. So you've got to give some credit to their opinion compared to some of the newer faces on the board. But I digress just a little bit. No hate, only love. Now, another point of formation being only the basis, a starting point for the tactics, for the function, is the fact that you've got to facilitate the best players in your team, because more than likely they are your game-winning scenarios, right? And this is why we have the Henderson, Wijnaldum, Fabinho midfield facilitating Firmino, Mane and Salah to go on and win the game, do what they do. A workman-like midfield engine, right? So many times I've seen the comment, you chuck Steven Gerrard in that team and we would be unstoppable. Now, I don't want to relate too much about the FSG video that I just released, with them saying that if we signed another £100 million worth of player, or we got that top-notch defensive midfielder or extra player, we could have won additional leagues. Because even if you signed that player, Man City still could have trounced us on any given day, or in fact, the opposition would react as well. And that goes into hindsight with the fact that some people say, look at our injury hit squad of the past. If we had that one backup, if we didn't have to use that squad player, if we had a extra prominent player in the squad, well, it's the butterfly effect. It's similar to Michael Owen leaving the Istanbul team. Who knows if we would have won Istanbul with Michael Owen in the team? The opposition would have played differently. We would have played differently. If we had the extra world-class player, we would have played differently. The opposition would have played differently. They may have won an extra game as much as we would have won an extra game. So you can't look back in hindsight and say, if X, Y, or Z happened, we would have guaranteed that, because there's a real opposition, real live 11 players, and who knows what would happen, right? So yeah, there's that. And as I was saying, you look at the players of all time, right? So you chuck Steven Gerrard into Jurgen Klopp team. Now, he is obviously better than every single one of the midfielders we had in the Jurgen Klopp era. In fact, he's one of the best players of all time. It's hard to replicate what Steven Gerrard could do as an athlete, as an individual, as captain charisma of the Liverpool football teams of the past. But there are flaws and downsides as well that people don't consider, because Gerrard is actually tactically indisciplined. He doesn't stick to a position. He wants to get involved in the game. He wants to show his influence, show his ability, get involved, especially in the goal scoring metrics, whether it's an assist, a through ball, or a shot himself, get into the opposition penalty area, pull the strings. He wants to do a bit of everything. In fact, he had to do it because the teams of the past relied on him to do that, because he was the only one capable of doing that, which is why he even went to right back to tackle in Istanbul final against Serginho, for example. However, he is tactically indisciplined, he roams, which leaves a gap positionally, so you actually make your team, a Jurgen Klopp team, weaker positionally, instead of facilitating the front three. Now, this can be offset by the fact that his proven talent, his qualities, can more than make up for him vacating a position. Now, similar to the argument of Trent Alexander-Arnold. You build a system to facilitate Trent Alexander-Arnold to roam into the areas of influence where he can perform the game-winning moves. The through ball down the line, the crossfield ball to Andy Robertson, to Lucho Diaz, a free kick winning position, a scorcher from distance in the half-8 Mazzala position. Mazzala is just a sided 10, really. Half-space playmaking 10 kind of role to either side. And you can even make the same case for players like Zinchenko. Zinchenko is a midfielder for Ukraine, came into Manchester City. There was a gap at left back, similar to Trent Alexander-Arnold, midfield in the day. When he was growing up, back into right back. Zinchenko at left back offers technical attributes, ball possession, ball playing skills, but he's not the best defender. So you have to work the system to allow for Zinchenko to shine. Similar to Juan Roman Riquelme in the great Argentina teams. They didn't unfortunately win very much, but it always looked to him. So it's around other players creating the space for Juan Roman Riquelme, being his legs, being his intelligent shadow to graft away, to allow him the platform to carry the game with that magical one through ball. Similar to Pablo Aimar, a little bit less to extent, because they didn't rely on Aimar so much. They had a hard working midfield, and I'm talking about the Valencias of the old with Ruben Barajas, David Albelda, Mr. up front, who's very workmanlike. not technically proficient, but he had a role to play to open up the gaps for Vicente and Aymar and even Rufete and sometimes Angelo from the right back to go and influence the play as well. So everyone's got their positions. Look at Dirk Kuyt, right wing, hard-working forward, the best defensive right winger probably in world football, marked Ashley Cole out of the game again and again. Gael Clichy couldn't get any joy out of him. Any left back was nullified by Dirk Kuyt's existence because you always got to mark him because he's got striker's instinct, so he'll prop up in the box as well as working a shift from right back. Duracell, Bunny, unlimited energy. These kind of players. Kevin Grosskreutz, right? Dortmund, he was a workaholic, a work engine, an absolute madhouse, friendly as you like, but on the pitch, tenacious, a Park Ji-sung, a Darren Fletcher. These kind of players are massively underappreciated. Wataru Endo of the modern day. Hello. Man Mountain, Big E. Don't underappreciate him, put respect on his name. And as Kohei found out, you don't cross the boss, especially one that can squat double your body weight in beach shorts. As I always say, this is a channel with substance in abundance. We go through all the tactical analysis in depth, in detail, and cover all bases to the extent that other channels can't replicate or imitate. They can only stand back and appreciate. Because this channel is
the cream of the crop!
And the best way to support this channel is through YouTube membership. I want to say a big warm welcome to Liverpool Fan in Japan family, to Den and Just Hannah, and Bill Castillo. Thank you for joining the Miyazaki gang! Ichiban, the best community. The army is growing. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure to let me know on the Discord where I chat 24/7 about Liverpool and football, what member number you would like, what persona name you would like, and your exclusive goodie when we get to 100 members and number. Yours forever as long as you're a member. Thank you so much for joining. And I hope you enjoy the videos, the uncut, uncensored, raw opinions of other channels such as Redmen TV, Anfield Agenda, Silla Football, Mark Goldbridge, Boovie, Don Hussam. I'll cover everyone and everything, including exclusive translation of Wataru Endo's book Duel and Wataru Endo's vlogs, of which he has nearly 100. And these are not just vlogs and articles, they go into deep dive detail on his family life, the background life in Japan. Kind of similar to me, because I do life in Japan as well, right? Look, I got a little jingle.
Life in Japan with Miyazaki Mum.
And Miyazaki Mama Mai is contributing as well when she's got the time to do translation. So don't worry, got to her too. And for all you guys, I hope you enjoy the content. Okay, so let's get into the tactics board. Alrighty, so I'm going to show you how my team, Lucha FC, plays before relating back to Liverpool FC, which is obviously what you guys are mainly interested in. But I think it's interesting to see to begin with, okay? So we've got Alisson, Becker, but my goalkeeper in the back, Shohei in the back. Now, left back is one of my game-winning scenarios. He's also the captain of my team. Daiki-san is the captain of my team. He is the brave heart of the team. He does a lot of the administration and organization as well. And the reason why he is a game-winning scenario, right, is twofold. One, he can get up and down the pitch all game. An absolute dynamo. Duracell bunny, okay? But secondly, he is two-footed and he has a wicked shot. So you're thinking of the Giovinco Facchetti of old in Inter Milan, Ruud Krol of Holland, even Roberto Carlos, maybe even Gareth Bale in his youth days. Probably Gareth Bale in the left-back role is more apt because he's not the best defensively. He does make a few defensive mistakes, but his offensive prowess is absolutely dominant. So my key is to give him positional priority. What positional priority means is the ability to get into a position before the opposition can react and get there. Keep in mind that I said formation is overrated. It's all about function. What are you trying to achieve on the pitch? When you look at all formations, they're all balanced. A beautiful 4-4-2, right? 4-4-2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Nice and balanced. 4-3-3. Nice and balanced. But actually, football doesn't really work that way, especially with Liverpool. You see overloads down the right-hand side. Trent, Szoboszlai, Salah, for example. In the days gone by, Henderson, Trent, and Szoboszlai. Or Salah, for example, okay? So, he is a game-winning condition. I'm just going to quickly set up with some players here. Put some relatable players, a big verge here. You'll notice I have this can badge right here. This lovely lady right here is going to become Federico Chiesa. I can't believe we got Chiesa, man. That is a dream come true. He's a top-notch, top-caliber player with beautiful, beautiful smile. Unfortunately, Bajtic is being sidelined because he's obviously out on loan. Good luck to him at Salzburg. Treat him well, Pep Linders. Okay, Van Dijk. We have Konate here. Now, I've just realised you guys want this kind of point of view, right? And for argument's sake, I'm going to put Bradley here because I don't really have a Trent Alexander-Arnold in my team. We have a slightly different setup now. Wataru Man Mountain Endo, number 6, okay? This diamond is going to be very, very interesting for you guys to see what we're trying to achieve tactically. Special Gravy, Curtis Jones here. We're going to put Soboslai at the top of the diamond. We've got 2 forwards as well. I'm going to go with a Lucho Diaz and a Darwin Núñez, okay? Now, this is my shape right here, 4-4-2 diamond. Lacking width, you might think, and there's a reasoning why we play this particular system, okay? Because what we have is a game-winning condition in Daiki on the left, roaming the whole area, as I mentioned as well. We have a winger who plays as a forward because these two press like maniacs, press like machines, but there's also method to the madness in which I will show you eventually. Key components and key tactical reasons why we play a diamond. We have the holding midfielder here who can drop in between the lines, right? And what you see with this system is very quickly this 4-4-2 diamond becomes 3-4-3 on offense and 3-5-2 on defense. What do I mean? So when Van Dijk and Konate allow Endo to sit in front of him, now he is a kind of libero sweeper in front of the defense, the Beckenbauer role. Franz Beckenbauer of old. And I told these guys, you respect Franz Beckenbauer, you do your job, and they're like, what in the fudge is a Beckenbauer? Which is fair enough because they're all young and I'm like a grandpa compared to these guys. So, with that in mind, we have Connor Bradley going into this line here. Now, you have a flat 4 here. And what you also have is the concept of those triangles. Those triangle rondos, as you've seen in training. You have the triangle, the triangle, the triangle, the triangle of both sides. The diamond at the back. Similarly, you have another diamond here. What else do you have? Oh, hello. You have another diamond here. And another diamond here. So you have short passing options if and when you need to play them. Okay, if you go 3 at the back and these guys step forward as well, and as I mentioned, the game-winning conditions, the left back, never forget one of my game-winning conditions is the left back, right? Okay, so what are we aiming to do? We are aiming to press and push them in this quadrant here, this space here, okay? We stop the squares from the back. We push, we press, and we force them into this channel here. Why do we force them into this channel? Because when the ball is on this side, everyone, especially in the lower levels, is attracted to the ball. Everyone gets attracted to the ball. It gets congested. All the players go into this area. And that's what I mean about allowing for the game-winning function in the fact that the space is here, the threat is here, the opportunity to win is here because he will enter that space. And how do I transition it to this player? Well, just going to have to wait and find out. Be patient. Okay, let's reset just a little bit. Okay, so as I said, we play a 3-4-3 in transition, in attack. These two can hold the base. Now you see, similar to an Arne Slot system, nothing gets through the center. Even if the players aren't absolute destroyers and monsters like Wataru Endo, like Lothar Matthäus, like Claude Makaleli or N'Golo Kante, the fact that they are sitting in that position and they know their role and they know to hold, one pushing up, one sitting, rotating and moving the fulcrum, basically the shape of the team around. The fact that they're sitting there is hard to penetrate. In world football, this shape is incredibly hard to penetrate. You see this a lot in Antonio Conte formation. You see this in a Xabi Alonso formation in defensive transition. You see this in a Ruben Amorim formation. This is a classic 3 at the back. And this also allows this player to join in the attack as well as a pseudo front 3. Now, what is the idea behind this? This guy is my long shooter. He can shoot. He's got a quality right foot. He can shoot across, but he can also slide the through ball across as well. How do I allow for the overload on the right hand side to create the vacant space on the left hand side? Well, as you see with an Arne Slot system, one of the game winning scenarios is to get the ball into these perpendiculars. Now, I don't do it on an even basis for the reasoning that my players are predominantly right footed, except for Ryomakun. Ryomakun is, my goodness, he is an Iron Robin regen. Mo Salah, except he's got a better shot than Mo Salah, left footed. I know that's saying a lot, right? But his left foot is a cracker. I'm going to see if I can find some footage. How many times he has done the Mo Salah step into here, Iron Robin, bend it in, whip it in, even power shot straight through the keeper, knuckle shot. He has a quality left foot. He's a game-winning condition. We'll go on to him in a second. But the fact that I overload the right-hand side, because we're talking about tactics at the moment and overloading this space, he goes and makes this run to receive the slide rule ball. He is in there for the ball between the fullback and the centre-back, through that space in behind there. But he also is tasked with keeping the width. An easier option there. The fact that he makes this run means he is available on the front post for a flicked header, a glancing header across goal. And if the ball goes out there, the instructions are he will go past the penalty spot to the back post for any spillage, for any second ball, for any fumble. We have Curtis Jones and Gravenberch backing up as well. Two prominent positions to recycle ball or to play the ball. Everyone steps up in high press again because that's how you keep the offside line nice and high, and he has the freedom of the park on this side, right? If we are on the attack, this is how we overload the right hand side with this option here, with the threat of him going in and behind there. We have Kim coming from left to right on this space here, because what happens is if he receives the ball there, he can go for the return and he will smash it in, or he can hit it outside again, and if it's outside again, he should be on the back post or running towards the penalty area. You hit it to that side and he can hit it in, and therefore the overload again. But especially because my earlier point around congesting this side of the play, when the ball is on this side of the play, the real threat is from the players on the other side, because you cannot account for the runs that they make, and probably that fullback, that defensive midfield guy and that centre back are concentrating on the ball in this area, looking in this direction. These two especially have the freedom of the game to make the runs, to cut back, to do whatever they want to make the influence, okay? Similarly, when we are pressing, we try to force them into this side position, okay? So Lucho, Nunez, Sobosai marking behind them, right? Let's reset just a second. So you're probably looking at something like this. The three operate in tandem together. The two strikers, the winger and the striker, actually I play both of them up front, but one of them really is a winger, and he acts as my pseudo winger starting from here to go out wide. And the reason for that is because, like my dad used to say, why is he not standing in the space? Why when we hit the corners does he not stand there and he can just head the ball? Well, for obvious reasons, because, sorry dad, if you start in that position, the opposition will come and mark you in that position. You have to move to that position and plan to move in that position, so your partner, your colleague, your teammate knows to pass the ball in that position. You have a head of steam and run into that space in a key opportune time. The opposition can't react, and there you go, quids in. So we've trained them to start at the top, to transition out wide. We go with the press. We encourage them to move the ball over this position by shielding that flank. So where are the options? There, chip ball overwards, or to the fullback as well. We press to turn them over. Because what happens, as I mentioned again, freedom of space, freedom to cut in. When we win the ball back on the laterals, round we go. It can be a straight ball if it's on, round we go. It can be that ball if you want, that ball over into the space, because this guy is lightning quick. He's got legs. Literally, you build up a head of steam and momentum, and you hit the ball in this place with a bit of backspin, or a knuckled ball with backspin, a daisy cutter grass, and he will get onto the end of it. Now, what happens when he's on the end of it, a game-winning condition? As you can see, we've overloaded the right-hand side. Hello, conveniently. 1, 2, 3, pull back, long shooter, spare man. This man is tasked, because the other fullback is up there, this man is tasked for keeping an eye out on the Romans, on the runners, on the floater. The number 2 floater in the toilet. No. But he is tasked with any danger, because these guys step up for their positioning as well. And he is the free man that really should take responsibility to snuff out any devious schemes the opposition have, because these guys will be busy marking their men on the break and running laterals and straight lines. And he's the emergency cover for that arc as well. Trusting that this guy can get his ass back, because he's lightning and he's rapid and he's a Duracell bunny with unlimited energy. But as I was mentioning, I digress just a little bit. When the ball is transitioned out to here, hello, everyone in position, smash the ball across. Zone of uncertainty between the keeper, between the defender, hard and low. If it's hard and low, defender has a chance to clear it. If you don't have a hard and low one, if you want to whip it with some height and near post, for a flick on. Not bad at a flick on. A bit of height into the back post. This guy's quite tall, able to head the ball, strong. Now, if he gets in front of the goal post, he can have the option of the front post and the far post. But if he does not get within the post by the time the flight of the ball comes in, you have to hit it across or hit it down for your mate, because the odds of wasting that phase by hitting it wide or hitting it over from that angle is just not worth it. So recycle the ball, keep the ball in play for that second phase, because you're in the opposition box, and he goes for a backup as well. And you go as an extra man on the edge of the area. Okay, so that is a game-winning overload, as well as if everyone is really cuddled in this position as well, and the ball gets transitioned out to this player, and he stands a man up. Now, this is very interesting. My left-sided centre-back of the two as well, free when the 6 drops in, can overlap. He can overlap, and the reason is it's the same as the overlap on the other side. This guy can go into Mazzala inside forward position. This is like a João Cancelo or Marcelo. This guy overlaps on the other side, in which case your number 6 vacates and drops a space. Ibu Konate goes into the centre. Conor Bradley forms a free at the back line. He goes into half space here. And this guy, I told you, is two-footed. He can crack a right-footed one here, right-footed one near post. That if the defender wants to stand him up here, so many times when he stands a man up here, and if this man is marked here and you can't get a through ball, I mean, there is a through ball option between centre back and the back as well, but he's not the fastest. He just works the space to open the position to drag the fullback out there. He can beat the man on the narrow like a Diogo Jota with the silkworm dribble. Beat the man for pace and smash it left-footed. He's got a cracking left foot and a right foot, which is why he is so important to my tactics and is so lopsided to create the overload on the right-hand side to facilitate him as the assister, give him the zone of opportunity in that space, allow him to play. And a famous phrase that I have to iterate again and again: if you don't work, you don't play. You have to work your arse off to get into position. You have to work your arse off as a team in the press. You have to communicate with each other. You have to back your teammates up. You have to get your ass back if they're on an offensive transition. You earn the right to play by busting a gut to win the ball back. And when we have the ball, you earn the right to play, but then you bust a gut again to earn the right to make that game-winning contribution. And that's what we have designed to do, to allow Daiki-san to have a game-winning condition there, okay? So it's very reliant on an individual. You have to build a team around the talents that you have. You can't say we need another 6 because Endo can't do what Gravenberch does. No, if Gravenberch is not available, if a particular match calls for Wataru Endo's attributes, a 6 going back in the centre-back position, a 6 destroying in a congested midfield, like against a Chelsea, Enzo Fernandez, or against a Manchester City, balling against Kovacic and Foden and De Bruyne. Time and a place for every player. You facilitate the players and allow them to shine. You allow Trent Alexander-Arnold to shine. You allow Zinchenko to shine. You allow Juan Roman Riquelme to shine. And it's very interesting as well. If you pick a team, right, of all time and everyone goes around in the circle, 20 teams, you pick players one by one. I've actually done this before. If you have a player like Lampard, Frank Lampard, you have to facilitate Frank Lampard. He is one of the highest goal-scoring midfielders of all time. You get him into prominent positions to shoot. You allow the legs behind him so he can stay high. You don't force him back too deep. You get him on the edge of the area. You have front-footed runners who get into the box so he can arrive as a late runner, unmarked, unheralded, smash it in with deflection. Hello, super Frank, super goals, that kind of thing. If you go in blind and you don't have the pick of the bunch to facilitate the team, then you go with all-arounded players who are multifunctional, who can do multiple jobs. Steven Gerrard, Michael Ballack, Michael Laudrup, Franz Beckenbauer, Lothar Matthäus, Bertie Vogts, these kind of players who can do a bit of everything, right? Ruud Gullit, Frank Rijkaard, very, very versatile, very, very acceptable to your tactics. So specific players call for specific tactics to allow you to achieve your game-winning scenarios. Now let's go into my right winger because he's a left-footed wonder like Iron Robin. Let's reset the board. So as I mentioned, this is a 4-4-2 that goes into a 3-5-2 on defence, mainly forcing them to this side of the pitch, and a 3-4-3 in attack because these guys can do what they need to do to win the game. One is disciplined, one holds kind of staggered. He can start from deep, he stays higher up space, as I mentioned again and again, right? So how do we allow this player here to thrive? Now it's a very, very similar concept to Jurgen Klopp's inside space because he's left-footed. He's looking to cut inside all the time. His right foot, to be honest, isn't very, very good, but his left foot is dynamite and he can shoot from distance. Hopefully I can find a clip and put it in editing as well. But in order to facilitate him, you have to have the overload. You have to have the overlapping fullback. But the issue is this guy doesn't get back as well as this guy. He hasn't got the greatest engine. He's a technical player as well. So what do? We play the 1-2s and we try to facilitate him into this lineup. What do we do with the 1-2s? One out here. Now he is the pocket space. He's sitting with the 6. He needs to find his position, find his ability to get in the game. When he hits it to this guy here, there's an element of dynamic movement here. So he's got to underlap because he's a more technical player. And this guy has a better cross on him and he's right-footed as well. So when he starts the underlap, he has to hold up the ball. He has to hold up the ball and keep the width in the position to draw the defender to him. He underlaps, right? He underlaps and he has to go into the widths. Now, if he sees the opportunity, he goes in the lateral as well. And on occasion, we try to find this player. How do you find this player? A dink ball is all well and good, but if it's too high, the keeper comes and claims it. So you have to do more of a straight ball. The route to the straight ball is the underlapping player. You give it to him. You give it to the underlapping player, and if he sees an option to ping it in, he goes. But in the absence of that, if the player is marking him and he can't find that yard of space, as I mentioned, he goes out wide. He's underlapping with the ball, and what you need to do, because it's a nonsensical ball to give him the ball here because he'll be pressured straight away, is you've got to work on the other side. As I said, the threat is always the opposite side of where the ball is. So you have to recycle the ball. You have to get the ball out and around, out and around, out and around again. But you see the difference here, right? You see the difference here. This is the fullback. This is the right back. And the right back has now gone into the number 10 position. This is the playmaker, the number 10. And he has gone into the wide position. So what happens to this guy? My striker with the dynamite left foot. When the ball is recycled back, he is now in this position. And they can't track him. They can't vacate the position to snuff him out of the game because this is now empty. You have the threat of the number 10 who can play make, to play Lucho Diaz in behind, running into the penalty area, running on the overlap as well. The out wide option, if he has the chance, the left-footed, bended cross, all it relies on is a head of steam and momentum to head it in. Now these guys aren't the best headers, but my goodness, how many times he's able to get into this pocket of space here. Mo Salah-like, and crack the shot. Alvaro Recoba, Arjen Robben, Mo Salah, Takefusa Kubo. Bow down to the greatness that is Ryo-Makun, because that left-footed scorcher is a menace, is a rocket. So once again, it's the concept of hitting the ball to the opposite side where the real danger is, and making overloads, bringing the focus and shifting the focus to the other side to try to facilitate your game winning conditions, okay? My strikers, my system, one is a pseudo winger, like a Lucho Diaz. One is an inside forward. I don't really have a target man. And we did go through the concept of target man, little and large, Heskey and Owen, Toshak and Keegan, that kind of thing previously. So once again, watch the beginner's video if you want to recount that. Now, what do we do on defensive transition? And this is where I'll reset the board again. Okay, as I mentioned, when you go into defense, it more or less is a 3-5-2. So these two split the ocean. He stands in front, sweeping. These guys go in line there, and these guys close up shop through the center, as you'd expect. Domi Schlobbers adds the extra point. He is the one that presses, and this is the containment zone, because when they go into that position, because that's where the space is predominantly, this is where the space is, right? The fullback, that space here, chipped over there. Edison loves that ball as well. They have to play in front of you. There's no point them hitting this ball down the line here. These two can shepherd it out. There's no point hitting the lines here. This is so congested, so tight. Nothing is getting through the middle here. And it's very, very hard to weave your way in now. These guys will be chasing, but they chase in pairs. Unless Darwin Núñez is close enough to Lucho Diaz and he sets the press and goes, then you don't need to press. You just hold your position. You maintain the shape and position until you're ready to go as a duo. When they go as a duo, anything that bypasses this initial line into these spaces here, you've got to press. You've got to press as a team, okay? You're setting the traps to release the counter. When you got the counter, I've shown you where we're trying to get. We're trying to overload this position to give him the opportunity to run up and down. Or if it's on this side, we move the ball over to reset again to get him into the half space to shoot on goal. These are concepts and working patterns of play. There are a few more, but they rely a little bit on intuition and judgment of the player rather than an exact science. But one concept that I've taken from Arne Slot's Liverpool that I really, really like the look of is the fact of that extra lateral pass. Now, this guy is a technical player, not the best runner. But the fact is, if we can have the laterals all set up, okay, he's going to make an advanced run into the box. He's going to do that kind of thing. If we can transition it to lateral, okay, and you see in this position, you have the chance to cross it. You have the chance to hit the through ball in between the fullback, out wide, to hold up the play as well. But if we have the opportunity, I do encourage the centre-back more than this 6, because this 6 for me is really a holding player. He doesn't get forward too much because he is the one that keeps the offside line in position. He is the one that makes up the numbers at the back. He is the one that is tasked with marking the overlapping runner or any danger, seeing the threats and holding position. He is a positional player, very, very important for my system. As I told you, my right back is also on the transition, covering for positional players. So in fact, these two are pseudo 6s in itself. But as I was saying, if we go on the laterals and we can get the centre back in position as the overload, that is an extra man here. and it's very, very hard to stop, because if we transition it to the extra centre back in the half space there, it's the same ploys again. Vertical line, ball on the horizontals here, where he can either hit penalty spot, if he can take an instep, shoot across goal, hit across the ball for the left back coming in, if he's already in the penalty spot area, for him in that position as well, or he can recycle it out wide here, in which case left footed, deliver it, or try and go and force shot himself, or recycle and replay it again. So that is pretty much what I wanted to cover in terms of the tactics for Lucha FC. There's some concepts there from Arne Slot Liverpool as well. Hopefully this video was useful for you guys. I don't want to make this too long. I do plan on doing other transitions and setups and how to counter specific formations as well, because Arne Slot mentioned in the Liverpool training in one of his earlier videos, we've trained patterns of play and against different formations, different setups, to break them down and to work the ball into game-winning situations. I've described for you there some game-winning scenarios for my team, Lucha FC. Hopefully you found that useful. Make sure to smash a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Lots of content coming up. Now this is one of my favorite shirts, this jumper, this LeBron James collaboration, gold and cream. It's like living the dream. No, but it really is, because I got all my Weeb merch, right? I love my Weeb merch as well. Talk to me about life in Japan and goodies anytime you want. I'm always on Discord. But I have to reward myself with a goodie, because I love Liverpool kit, man. I love Liverpool kit. So I got one piece of kit with me here today, and I'm just going to... Now, I always buy these on Mercari Japan. You can use my proxy in a link for Mercari. You can buy off this service called Zen Market. They deliver it right to your door worldwide. It's a good service as well, and if you use my code in the link below, I think you get 10% off or something of the sorts. Very, very worth it. But looky, Adidas, who we're going to at the end of the season, back again. Liverpool FC is old school. It's Carlsberg. This must be proper retro. Now, I bought this for 3,700 yen. 3,700 yen? How much is that? That's around 18 quid. It must be around 18 quid. Fail me not. Carlsberg, Adidas. Is this called a windbreaker? Now, this is proper padded. This suggests to me that it's got a hood. It has got a hood. So this is known as a windbreaker, is it not, in the UK? You put this gear on, you go running, you go dashing. Bring my boy Kohei for extra training sessions. Because you just don't cross the boss. You don't do it, mates. And chuck this appendage over my LeBron goodie. And voila. Substance in abundance. This top is the cream of the crop. I don't mind me some red, but I do like the cream and gold one slightly better. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you smash a like on this video. Help this video get seen as well. I think it's useful to any fan generically, even if you're not a Liverpool fan. Subscribe if you haven't already. Lots of quality content up, as I mentioned. The best way to support the channel is through YouTube membership. Thank you so much. Buying a cheeky shirt or hat as well never hurts. And add me on all the socials as well. I'm going to put more personal pictures and family pictures on the Instagram. And after talking so much, I have to whip on this shirt. I have a god tongue. And whip out one of my favorite indulgent snacks to keep me going. So this video we're talking about tactics. So tactics have layers, and if you can combine all the different layers of the tactics, you get that great creamy innards, in which case the game winning scenario is to meld all the fusion of flavors, that beautiful fresh baked crusty crunch with that choux cream custard vanilla extract. Tactics 101. 10101. 1 minute. Let's get back to the video. And until next time, Miyazaki man, Ichiban, Miyazaki gan, the army is growing. Have a great day, everyone. Jane means ciao. See you later. So hit my music.
Liverpool fan in Japan.